Welcome to the show, everyone. I absolutely love my first guest that I'm bringing on right now. She's been on with me for several years. I have with me Sandy Greenley, and she's the owner of Angels, Cremation, and Burial. And I'm going to say something about you real quickly. One thing I know about Sandy is that you were probably one of the top maybe 5 people that I know, and that is the most real person I've ever met. And you say it like it is, but you also help people understand what they're going through, what they might need to do. You are passionate about what you do, and you've been doing it for a long time. So welcome to the show. I want you to first of all tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you all do, and then you want to talk about something today that's important to you.
Well, thank you first of all, Carol, for the compliment. I own a mortuary, and we service people who are more financially distraught, or they're watching their dollars. They don't want them to go to a funeral or into the ground. They want to keep them for things for living a life. And we do cremations, we do burials, we do science donations, we do just about we do ship outs. I mean, if it has anything to do with the funeral industry, we do it. We usually do it a lot less than most people do. We're very simple. We do things in an easy manner. We're not salespeople. We don't try to convince people to sell more things. In fact, honestly, sometimes we convince people not to buy things because, you know, the money, in my opinion, money is for the living, not for the digging the hole.
Amazing. It is so true. Now, I'm going to get your information now because, again, you want to talk about something special, but, you want to check her out on the website. Sandy, how long have you been doing what you do?
I've been in the funeral industry for 25 years, and I've had my own mortuary for a little over 20 years.
Wow. And her website is angelscremationandburial.com, and the phone number is 480-962-6435. That's 96 Angel. And today, I want you to go ahead and talk a little bit about what's so unbelievably passionate with you.
Well, there's this law. It's 36325. And we all thought it was a great law when it was put into effect, because it used to take families 4, 5, 6 months to get a death. 4, 5, 6 weeks to get a death certificate, not months, just weeks. And so when they passed this law, it said that everything would be completed in 10 days, and so families can get death certificates. Well, we're all excited about it because families need death certificates to complete their, to complete things in life. And there's always been the exception to the rule, and taking longer than we wanted it to, but that's kind of how life went. Well, last year, like in May or June, I don't know, might have been July, we discovered what the law actually says. And the law actually says that a family has 7 calendar days to complete it. We have, as a mortuary, we have 7 calendar days. That gives the doctor 3 days, it gives the mortuary 4 days, and then the county has 3 days so the family can pick up the death certificate on the 11th day. Well, that's great, other than the fact that there's a lot of challenges. Sometimes families don't want to come into the mortuary on the very first day. And sometimes when there's a holiday like Thanksgiving or Christmas, when the mortuary is closed, or weekends and holidays, that the families really only end up having 2 or 3 days, sometimes 5 days. There are so many variables to this. And so when I found out that this was really the law, I went to the legislature and I said, please, please change this law. Give us at least 7 business days. 7 calendar days is ridiculous. And we all kind of laugh because the medical examiner, who is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they get 7 days, but theirs are not calendar days. Theirs are holiday. Theirs are work days. And so it makes it very difficult. Like this year, because of Christmas, we closed at noon on Christmas Eve, which was Wednesday. We did not open until Monday. So anybody who lost their loved one the week before on a Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or Saturday, Sunday had to have their paperwork done by noon on Wednesday, which is very challenging. Oftentimes people don't get it, we get a wrong phone number. Somebody's on vacation, somebody's on a cruise, we even had one that was in the hospital. And so many times people don't have all the information, so then we have to complete the death certificate without all of the information. Then the family has to have proof of the information, go to Vital Records and pay them $30 to get it fixed. So it's really detrimental to families. Well, like I said, I contacted the legislature. I've had 2 legislatures, one in the House and one in the Senate, that have been very, very helpful, but it's looking like the one in the House is definitely going to die, and the one in the Senate is very questionable. And so I am begging people to call the legislature and let them know what the rules is, because it says, literally it says, this is what the law says: within 7 calendar days after receiving the possession of a human remains, a funeral establishment or responsible person who takes possession of the human body must obtain the information, including the social security number of the decedent and the death certificate, and all of the death certificate requirement paperwork, and complete. Now, they're making the mortuary responsible for a doctor to sign the death certificate. Doctor has 3 days. How many doctors do you know that works 7 days a week? Or how many doctors are not allowed to go on vacation? We work with a lot of doctors that work in hospitals, and they have 3 days on and 3 days off, or 4 days on and 4 days off. And so they're already out of compliance before they even get the death certificate if it's a weekend, because we work Monday through Friday except holidays, and we're not open on holidays. The other part of this bill that is very distracting to me is that it is against the law for a mortuary to cremate a baby under 350 grams or 20 weeks. So according to the law, 19 weeks and 6 days is medical waste. On that one extra day, then it's a baby and we can take care of it. And it's like, are you really kidding me? What does that one day do? And as I was talking to Carol, she said, yeah, I've got to see my daughter's baby who's 8 weeks old in Euro, and he's already got a heartbeat, or the baby's got a heartbeat, they can see it, the movement, and it's heartbreaking. And yet there are mortuaries that will break the law because that's what they do. I refuse to break the law because the law is a law and there's a reason for it. So to me, we need to go to the legislature and get these laws changed. So you can email your legislature, you can come on the phone, you can write them a letter, but please let them know how important it is to change this law. It's 36-325, so that families can make a choice whether they want their baby cremated or they want them buried if they're less than 350 grams or 20 weeks, and families can have enough time to complete the death certificate on their schedule. I suggested to them that they say 7 calendar days, as long as, even 3 calendar days, as soon as the family has filled out the paperwork, they've made payment or made payment arrangements, the doctor has signed the death certificate. It would make it a lot easier and a lot less stressful for families. We've had families in tears. We've had families yelling at us. We've had families say, complete the damn thing with nothing. And then the county calls us and said, you're turning in too many unknowns. Well, I can't do it both ways.
Right. Now, this is for everyone out there that, if this is for, it doesn't matter where you go or what you're doing, this is the law.
That's right. It is the law.
And to me, it seems crazy because, first of all, what I'm hearing from you more than anything, you have your empathy is for the family.
Right.
And the families, first of all, most people don't want to start filling out all sorts of paperwork the day they have to take care of this, right? Because
That's right.
Obviously they are emotional. How do they do it? They don't even know where to turn, probably.
Well, I can remember my son was killed in an accident, and he died at 8 o'clock at night. And 8 o'clock the next morning, the funeral home called me and asked me what time I wanted to make an appointment. And I said, you can go to hell.
No, I don't blame you.
I remember that. I was so emotionally distraught. What do you mean you want me to make arrangements? I can't even wrap my head around the fact that I've lost a 9-year-old son.
Yeah.
And so, people want the paperwork done. 90% of the people want the paperwork done. They want it done correctly. They want time to find things. Just think to yourself, do you know your daughter's social security number? Do you know your social security number? Do you know your spouse's social security number? Do you know your mom and dad's social security number? Because that is a very, very important piece of information to have on the death certificate. And 90% of the people know it, but the other 10, I'm not going to say 9, I'm going to say 70% of the people know it. The other 30% have to look it up. Probably 10% don't know it. In fact, I had a lady call me last week or the week before. Her loved one died 3 months ago, and they have now found the social security number, but she has no way of getting it on the death certificate because she doesn't have the card, she doesn't have the information, and so she's got to figure out how to get it on there. Nobody can help her.
No, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to break, come back and talk about this because it's huge. And my mind is going a mile a minute right now. We'll be right back. We're gonna keep on talking in
I
here.
was watching that.
That's okay. Yeah, but no, you're fine. And what I do want to say is, this is something where, and I don't know whether you do this, I know there's people that do estate plan, but estate planning is different. When you're dealing with, knowing this ahead of time with people, I don't know how you handle that, but, because I'm sure there's a lot of times something happens and it just happens right then and there. What do you do?
Yeah.
But knowing this information, when you just said that, I could think in my head, I happen to know I have it on a sheet on my in the kitchen that happens to have my daughter's social security number. I don't think it has their father's, you know, and when my parents died, I don't think I would have known where to get all of that, you know, because maybe, I don't even remember, but these are the things that people need to have and be prepared for.
That's right.
And that's another thing, I mean, that's just a whole nother conversation of people being prepared. And we've talked about preparedness, but
Yeah, but when people are not going to get prepared, not everybody
it's
is.
impossible.
Everybody's going to lose a loved one, and they're going to face this dilemma. I mean, I have been yelled at, I have been cussed at, I have completed more death certificates without social security numbers than I ever have in my life, because I used to wait for them to find them.
But it's a way of them making money, because you said on air that the people have to pay when it's a mistake on there. So if they don't have, let's say, the social security number on, that's considered a mistake?
Uh-huh.
Wow, so they have to pay. So
That's
then
right, they pay $30.
Can
And
you
not only
imagine
that, they
having
have to have
$30?
something to prove it. It's like a tax paper or their social security card. Those people don't have those things.
Mhm.
That, or they would have had them in the beginning. And so,
Yeah.
literally, this lady that called me either this week or last week, she said, well, we just found it on some paperwork. If the paperwork is not legal paperwork, they won't accept it at County Vitals, so they can't get it added. And there's like a $10,000 life insurance policy that nobody can claim because they don't have a social security number. And that's what this insurance company requires.
That's terrible.
It is.
It's really, I can't believe it. I mean, how insensitive, number one, to the people. They have to have time to be able to, number one, just kind of realize what's going on in their lives right now, and
Get their feet on the
then
ground.
getting all that paperwork.
Yep.
That's
exactly
amazing.
correct. That's the reason I'm so frustrated at it. And it's gonna die, and then it's gonna be another whole year of harassing people and beating people up.
I can't understand why they do it. It just doesn't make sense.
Because they're legislature and they can.
So welcome back, everyone. I'm sitting here talking with Sandy Greenley. She's the owner of Angels Cremation and Burial, and it's amazing how, first of all, thank you. Number one, I have to say thank you for your compassion for people, because you realize you deal with this every day of your life, all day long, and people, you know, they're distraught, sorry, they're crying, they're grieving, they're not ready. And this is something that the legislation, I didn't say it right, they can do it. I asked you, why would they do this? Why wouldn't they give them, a month?
Because they want the money. They
Yeah.
want their paperwork done. But yet, they can take as long as they want. I mean, we've waited sometimes 2 or 3 weeks to get death certificates from them because they've been overwhelmed and overworked. And like Christmas time, when it was too many vacation days all at the same time, we started with Thanksgiving, they all took off for Thursday and Friday, then for Christmas they took off. And so they got behind, but that's okay if they get behind, but don't let us get behind, because if we do, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And that my favorite story is they sent me an email saying this death certificate is out of compliance, and I wrote back and I said, well, the doctor hasn't signed it yet, and she said, well, it's still out of compliance, and I wrote back and I said, well, tell me how to complete the death certificate without without the doctor's signature, not with the medical examiner's permission. I'll be happy to do that. I'm happy to do whatever, but you can't give me laws and rules and regulations that I can't possibly do because I'm waiting for somebody else. I would like to know how many of you out there listening can control your doctor and get him to sign a death certificate when he's on vacation in New York, or he's overseas and he's not going to be home. I mean, accordingly, I have never seen the law, but I've been told that they have to have somebody that's in charge. Well, that person says, I've not seen the person, I'm not signing the death certificate, if you can even find one. And I have families that really want the paperwork on the death certificate, they want it correct, but they don't know what and Grandma Susie's middle name was, and Aunt Susie has gone on vacation. Or I had one lady who was in the hospital, she was in a car accident, her brother died the next day, and we got a hold of her, and she said, tell me to fill out the damn thing with unknowns. I'm trying to take care of myself. I don't have time to take care of him. You know, it wasn't that
just-
she didn't want to, it was that right now, she had 4 days to take care of it, and she didn't have 4 days to do it.
To think
And
about it.
And the government's saying, too bad, so sad, get it done. I mean, you know, we think about all the exceptions to the rules. We think, oh, that happens once in every lifetime, or once in a year. Well, no, it happens probably once a week in my world. And you consider we took care of over 2,000 cases last year, so when you divide that out, that's a lot of cases we take care of. We took care of 158 cases between December 15th and December 31st. Well, it doesn't stand to reason that we had problems with 5 or 6 of them getting them done. Because number one, people just don't have time. It was the holidays, they were overwhelmed, they were frustrated, they were stressed. And we don't have a lot of time to continue to call and call and call and call. And we're required to call. We have loved ones that are sitting in our cooler for 2 or 3 months because the fiduciary can't get around to processing them. And their family is not going to take care of them. There's not family, there's no one to do it. And so it's just a big ball of worms, a big bag of doo-doo, whatever you want to call it. And the legislature is saying, oh, well, we don't know what to do about this, or, well, this is not important, well, I'm not gonna sign this bill because of this. You know, and whether you believe in abortion or not, if you decide to have your baby aborted, whether it's for medical reasons, whether it's for being raped, or whether it's because that was the choice they made, they still have a right to take care of their baby the way they want to. And so are they going to be forced now to carry it for 5 months? 20 weeks is 5 months. 20 weeks in 1 day, because if they abort it, 18 weeks, heaven help them, it's medical waste. And it just absolutely kills me. I have seen some of these girls, I have listened to them cry. I have heard their sob stories, but my hands are tied because I will not break the law. I've told them some mortuaries that I know that breaks the law, and they can go there to get them done. And one lady even called, she said, oh yeah, we can get it done for $1,000 and you'll do it for $275, it would only been 1 more day. And I said, I'm sorry, it's the law, I have to abide by it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to willingly break the law.
Mm-hmm.
And so it absolutely breaks my heart. And the legislators that I'm working with have been phenomenal. They have done everything in their power. But unfortunately, the way our laws are written, if you get it through one of the committees and then you have to go to the Rules Committee, and the member of the Rules Committee doesn't like the bill, he can just he can refuse to let it be heard. And so it's dead. Or he can say, well, we don't have time for it. You know, they always have a good excuse, a good reason. And I've written to the mayor, and she said, well, the governor, I'm sorry. And she said, well, we'll wait until what happens with the legislature. Well, what about the Attorney General? I'm going to start writing to him every time the law's broken. Because if I'm supposed to be able to get a death certificate in 10 days, County Vitals is open on Monday through Friday if it's not a holiday. They're not open on Saturday and Sunday. So if my death certificate is completed on Friday, or it's completed on Saturday, that means I should be able to go get a death certificate on Saturday or Sunday. So everybody is breaking the law, so let's get it fixed. And one of the legislators said to me in one of the meetings, he said, well, why don't you have the funeral association behind you, and why don't you have other funeral homes behind you? And I said, I don't know. I happen to be caring and loving about my families. I don't go out and try to bang walls with people that I don't even know. I don't associate with other funeral homes. I don't associate with other people. I have my family, I have my church, I have my children, and that's all I have room for. I don't have room to go socialize with people. And so why don't they contact them if they think this is not a big deal? Why don't they contact the County Vital Records and find out how many death certificates are actually completed in 5 business days if there's no holidays or weekends? Because I'm sure you're going to find that it's like 50 or maybe 60%. I have no idea. I just know what it is in my office. And I also know that there's an exception to every rule. And these people should not be harassed. They should not be fined. They should not be more stress piled on top of them with them losing their mother or their father, their brother, their sister, or especially a child, because they can't comply with what the state wants them to comply with. And like I told one legislator, if you don't want to change the law, then get rid of the damn law that's there that nobody can enforce anyway. I can't force a doctor to sign a death certificate. I'm forced to serve a family that is abusive, that is rude, that is nasty, that is ugly, that refuses to sign the contract, that refuses to pay me. I'm still expected to take care of them. Where is it? Well, I thought we lived in America where we had freedoms and rights and choices.
You know, it's, when you think about $30, it doesn't sound like a lot of money.
Oh,
right?
to a lot of people, it's
But-
dinner for the week.
Some people, but what I'm saying is this. compounded over so many people over and over and over that they have to pay because of the mistake. And you said just having a name not on there is considered a mistake. We were talking at the break and I said how important it is for people to have this information and get it. And then I was thinking as you were talking that what happens to people that don't have any family members that are alive anymore, that they're the only ones and they don't know the information. What do?
They fill it out with unknowns because they don't have time to find it.
Isn't that's not what anyone would want. And when you say you've had some of these people that have been hanging out in the cooler for a couple of months, wow.
Because the SIDS program does not, they have to take care of them and they don't have any rules or regulations. Every case is handled individually, and so until they decide to take care of the loved one, they just hang out in my cooler.
So people, what she's saying is please help us change this law. Help them by calling,
Your legislatures, if you don't have enough information, you need more information, call me, I will give you the information you need. But we need to get this law changed, or we need to get abolished 325 because it is so unfair.
And remember, it's for everyone that has this happening. Now, of course, we know that there's some of the other mortuaries that might just do whatever they have to do just to get it done,
Or they may not do it and take their chances of getting fined or getting nasty grams.
And that's not what you want. That's because that's just another thing. We have a couple of minutes. I want you to tell them your final words.
I love my families. I love people. I think we all need to work together to let other people have what they want for themselves. I believe that that's why God wants us. That's why God lets us live here.
Let me go ahead and
Is to make the world a better place for everyone.
Yeah, and I think that's what you hear the passion, you hear how she is, and this is because she's been doing this for over 20 years. She knows what the families go through, and that's her heart is in this. And she's here to please ask people to go call your legislator and let's change or abolish this law. And it's not. It is for anyone, every single person out there that might be dealing with this. If you have to find, you don't know what it's like. I mean, I'm telling you, I remember when my mom and dad, when they passed, you are a mess. You can't find anything. You're not ready. You need the time, and you deserve the time. I think that's what you're saying.
Or you lose a baby that's 19 weeks and 6 days, or 340 grams. They're medical waste. Do you want to look at somebody and say your baby's medical waste? When they've felt their heart, they've felt them move, because that's what the law says. 20 weeks, you're a baby. 19 weeks and 6 days, you're medical waste.
Her website is angelscremationandburial.com. You can call her with any questions that you might have. She's here. She wants to make these laws either change or go away. It's 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angel.